So, Nicola, can you tell us how you got started in cartoons and comics?
Yes, I was a freelance illustrator from 1996, and I always used text and image in my style. So I worked as a freelance illustrator, and then in about 2007, I started coming across graphic novels and thought, oh, I could use the language I developed as an illustrator to put into a longer form story. So I did. I signed up to do an MA that at first was practical. So the idea was I was supposed to work on a longer form graphic novel, but actually the stories. And then I thought, oh, I have the story of the death of my child that had happened 13 years before. But the comments from people around me were so much more interesting than what they were wanting me to do practically, because I'm an autodidact, so because I'm self-trained as an illustrator, I had my style. And so people were saying things like, oh, why do you want to do a comic about death? How depressing. And I was thinking, well, how interesting that people think death is depressing, and what's that about? So I switched to an academic master's, and since then I've continued that path alongside my cartooning practice. So I've just completed a PhD, a written PhD on the gender and comics, and so I've looked at the history of British feminist cartoonists, because part of that is because I am a cartoonist. It's positioning. It's always been about positioning myself. It's like, where are the other women and what are they doing, and why, if there are less, why is that, and why are the styles perhaps different, if they are. So those are the questions so I am now officially a comics scholar.
Very impressive. What do you have in mind for your next project, or what is your next comics project?
Well, it's because I've come out of this writing. It's an interesting position I'm now in, where I think of myself a cartoonist, but my practice for at least a year has been intensely writing. So I think something will come out of that in written form first, in a more not so much academic, because I'm quite keen that the ideas that I've explored within academia are then put out in the way that cartooning can put out serious messages. So I think writing can also be a language that disseminates more serious subject matter, but to a wider audience.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you very much, Nicola.